Okay, so we're gonna finish this like little section right here, and you will need your calculator for most of what we do today, so. I want to pick up where we left off yesterday. I think at the very end of class, I was explaining these augmented matrices where we put the coefficient matrix with the solution matrix. And then we could press either RREF or we could press REF. And I think if I remember correctly, we did RREF together, right? That's the easier one, okay? I think hopefully you haven't canceled all your matrices out. You probably still should have this one in your augmented matrix in like for your A or for something like that. I actually now want to press REF and see what happens. Now, if you're using the iPhone calculator like I am, there is no REF button, but on your normal graphing calculators, you have it. So go ahead. If you do not, and I'm probably going to have to re-enter this matrix because I'm sure I mess around with other matrices. Make sure that the matrix that you have, you should not have messed with anything because you didn't have any homework and we didn't do anything on our quiz that was on the calculator. So in one of your matrices, you should have this matrix. Mine's going to be an A. So if yours is not there, enter it in like I'm about to enter mine in. Sorry, they're just can't play math or can't do math unless I guess we do an ad. So. Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna make this a 3x4 matrix. Again, you should already have this in, so thanks for just kind of being patient while I just try this really quick. Generally, I give you the opportunity to choose either REF or RREF, and you'll see momentarily why you might choose one over the other. So if you do not already have this in, this should be your matrix, okay? I'm going to press second quit to get out of there, and then I'll go to second matrix. And if you jump over to math, letter A should be REF. So I have a 0 and then I have a B. I don't have an A. Do you guys see REF on your calculators? Yeah. Can you go ahead and press that? I'll just press RREF just so I'm pressing some buttons.
You said press
letter A, which is just REF. And then put your matrix in there. So then we're doing that of matrix A. So mine again says RREF, yours should just have one R, REF. And when you press enter, you should get a matrix that looks like this, and then has actual numbers here, here, and then over in the last column.
Wait, how do I put it on matrix?
Press second and then the X, second, and then your X and the negative first, and then press matrix A. Can anyone tell me what they got when they did just the REF?
402.
Nope, you should.
100.3333.
But let's do a fraction. Let's do math and we'll put it in fraction form. That'll make it a little bit easier. So your first one was 1, and then you had 1/3. What was in the like column or the row next?
1/3.
And then after that,
14.
Good.
0, 1, -7 fifths, -14 fifths, 0, 0, 1 fifth.
good. Did I have that first one in the top right? Correct? Is that 14 or was it 14 over
14 third.
14 over 3? Okay, good. Notice that this is the exact same answer that was in the bottom row of when we did RREF. What this is telling us is it just didn't simplify all the way down. This is called row echelon form, not reduced row echelon form. In reduced row echelon form, this gives me all my variables. It gives me X equals 4, it gives me Y equals 0, and it gives me Z equals 2. Whatever the first variable is like your first column, then the second variable is the second column, and then the third one's the third column. This time it didn't give me this, it gave me Z equals 2. But now I have not just one Y, I have one Y plus a -7 fifths with my Z, and that equals a -14 fifths. It also has not just an X by itself, but it has an X plus a 1/3 Y plus a 1/3 Z is equal to 14 thirds, period. This is the exact same thing as down here, but down at the very bottom, it solved it all out for us. What we need to do with the REF is to go back and substitute in. So if I know that Z equals 2, I'm gonna go replace Z in both of those equations with 2. Now, if I do that Y one, that's gonna be a pretty easy Y plus -7 fifths times 2 is equal to -14 fifths. Okay, I just ran out of room, that's on me. I can solve for Y pretty easily. Did I lose anyone yet? You good? I might not have explained something. Do you want me to say something again? He's good, okay.
Can you like go back? I got lost.
Where do you want me to go back to? Like, do you know how I got this matrix?
Yeah. I got
Okay.
that.
Great, okay, what happens is, do you remember when we wrote our augmented matrix? This was the coefficient of the x's, right? So any number that's in this column goes with x. Same thing, the second column went with all the y's, so anything in that column goes with y's, and then the last column was my z's. So then when I take this new matrix and I change it from matrix form back into equation form, anything that's in that first column goes with x. So that's why that bottom one is just z, because it's 0 x's plus 0 y's plus 1 z. So that z equals 2. Okay, now when I go a row above that, that middle row, I have 0 x's, I have 1 y, and I have -7 fifths z, and that's equal to that -14/5. So when I go to solve this, I'm going to plug in, I know that z is 2, so I can substitute in z for 2, and then I can find y, and I'm gonna argue it should equal 0, like we found when we actually did it RREF. You with me a little bit better now?
Yeah.
Awesome. So as I substitute this in, this becomes y minus 14/5 equals -14/5, and when I add that 14/5 to both sides, I know you probably hated those fractions the whole time, but it ended up just being 0. Well, like I said, that's what my y was, and when we did it in reduced row echelon form. Now we get to go back to the very first equation, and we're gonna plug 0 or 2 in for z, and then 0 in for y. And I'll just do that up here. So that's gonna be x plus 1/3 times 0 plus 1/3 times 2 equals 14/3. Well, 1/3 times 0 is just 0, so I get x plus 2/3 equals 14/3. And then I minus those 2/3 from both sides, and so x is gonna equal 12/3, which is 4. Is that what we got when we did reduced row echelon form? Awesome. Yes. Mhm.
So it would just be easier to do RRE.
It would be easier to do RREF.
So.
And sometimes I'll ask you to do REF, where I want you to substitute it back in, and you can always check your answer by doing RREF. For sake of time, let's actually jump over, let's do letter C, because I need to come back and teach you at least one part of number 3 before we're done for today. So let's just do letter C and let's see what happens. Let's just go ahead and do RREF. We'll do the easy one. So go ahead and make your augmented matrix. We'll enter it into the calculator and then we'll press RREF. Again, my X coefficients went in my first column, my Y coefficients go in my second column, and then my Z coefficients go in my third column. Then I draw my kind of imaginary line that's not on the calculator, and then I do my solutions, everything that's on the right side of the equation. I told you we're okay to do RREF, so you can go all the way down to the most reduced form, and we're gonna see what the calculator spits out when we solve this. Go back and edit your matrix, it's still a 3x4. Really double check and make sure all the numbers are correct. It's really easy to mess that up. And we use a lot of the same numbers, just positive, negative, et cetera, et cetera. Remember our REF or just REF, reduced row echelon form and row echelon form is in the math column. So go to math and it's either B or A. And I told you we could do B because that's the easier one. And then make sure to put your matrix in it. So your calculator should say RREF and then it should say matrix A or whatever matrix you're on. And then you can press enter and you'll get the answer out of that. And so I got 1, 0, -4, 23, 0, 1, 3, -13, 0, 0, 0, 0. If I were to write this equation, my bottom equation would be 0x plus 0y plus 0z equals 0. What does that mean?